Getting a dog bite on your face is significant. I mean, number one, dog bites are strict liability in Washington, meaning that you don't need to fight over whether or not there was negligence on the part of the homeowner or, I mean, it's strict liability, meaning. So I wanted to answer some Reddit posts that I saw here for personal injury settlement negotiation. And this one is a dog bite. He was bitten by his friend's dog about a year ago and has received medical care covered by their homeowner's insurance. Now, the claims adjuster and him recently agreed that his care was mostly wrapped up, and then he got a settlement offer for $100,000, which was a lot more than he had anticipated. He had an injury to his face. There's lasting scarring and sensitivity. Well, we'd want to see what that looked like, and we'd want to see an expert report on that. He works a public facing job, and it's important to know what type. And he's found fear of dogs. He has a newfound fear of dogs that would likely require some expert testimony as to the degree of fear. And obviously, the situation impacted his friendship, which is important as well. He has zero intentions of suing his friend, and the dog is still a happy member of the family. He spoke with a lawyer whose take was that hiring a lawyer would not make sense, although I don't necessarily agree with that. We'd have to see more. And he, unless he expected a much higher number, which he does not, as the payment to them would cancel out the benefit. Well, the payment is a third of whatever he recovered, but if the attorney got 200,000 instead of the 100,000, then it would still make financial sense. That attorney recommended that he negotiate the number with the claims adjuster himself in an intentional manner, suggesting more impact and that he had assumed a higher number closer to 200,000, and we could land somewhere in the middle, which is typically a good negotiating tactic. However, we don't really know what his damages and the extent of his damages are. He also mentioned that this particular insurer starts with an H, which we know who that is, tends to be forthcoming to work with. And then his legal question is, could they rescind the present offer? They can always do that. Should he ask a negotiating question? They almost never do, though. Rarely in practice do they ever rescind a present offer. And there's no deadline to sign anything implied other than the statute of limitations, which is 3 years from the date of injury in Washington, unless there's certain exceptions that apply, but probably not in this case. And he says, I just do not want to shoot myself in the foot here by being greedy. Well, you're not being greedy. I mean, consulting with a personal injury attorney was smart for you to do because you want to know exactly what your rights are. My friends, unfortunately, already have the negative impact to their homeowner's insurance, which is true. That's going to happen when you make a claim against their insurance, and that's why they have insurance. And whatever that may be, and I think asking for more has little bearing in that, and that's also true. This whole thing is beyond my pay grade. Thank you for your time. Well, let me respond to some of this stuff. First, I think that if their first offer is 100,000, then the value of this claim is significantly higher than that. The homeowner's insurance policy probably is a $500,000 policy, maybe $1 million policy, and maybe there's an umbrella in addition to that. Getting a dog bite on your face is significant. I mean, number one, dog bites are strict liability in Washington, meaning that you don't need to fight over whether or not there was negligence on the part of the homeowner or I mean, it's strict liability, meaning there's no issue there. So the only issue is what are the damages associated to the bite and the lasting injuries and then the scar on your face. And you've mentioned some of the things that are issues and that are real damages, like the lasting scarring and the sensitivity on your face, I mean, that could have an impact for the rest of your life. Um, you said that you had zero intentions of suing them. Well, you're not suing them at the moment. You're just making a claim against the insurance company. If you don't end up um, settling the case for a fair amount, you may need to sue them, but then the insurance company comes in and they just defend. So it's not really like you're suing them personally. I mean, technically you are, and legally you are, but the insurance company is required to defend. So you just continue negotiating with the insurance company, and then in terms of value, well, like you said, if you're sensitive now to dogs, and that could be a significant impact for you, and that could be a lasting one as well. So getting experts involved to see what the significance is of the scar and the lasting effects of it, and whether or not, there may be a time in the future where you want to get some plastic surgery and get the scar removed, and that would be entirely uh, a fair thing that you're entitled to. So the cost of that surgery and then the effects of that surgery would also be included in damages when you're calculating the value of the case. And then, really, what it is and why we would need to see a picture is, what would a reasonable person in your position, depending on what public job you have, trade for that not having occurred? And if that scar is significant and it bothers you, and it would bother any reasonable person in your position in a public facing job, I mean, maybe it is worth 500,000. So that's the question that we would need to answer, is what would a reasonable person trade um, for not having this happen